Well, guess what? We are doing a demo here, exactly where everything started. If you remember, the very first episode where we announced the tour was here in Stuart. And today we are doing a demo. What's really exciting is we have the brand new higher spec foils, and a misconception that people have is the size. Often people don't think they could ride a smaller foil, but when it comes to high aspect, there is something to it. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna put people on a smaller foil than what they are used to, but it's gonna be a high aspect, so I bet you they're gonna ride totally fine. Today it's blowing, it's pretty gusty. We have gusts to 20, 22, so not that windy, yet I'm sure somebody's gonna be able to ride the 650 high aspect. So this is gonna be interesting. Let's go check it out. I'm here with Kelly, and Kelly went out on a 5.0 macro, 75 liters, and 1,000 high aspect foil. And what do you usually ride?
I usually ride a 1400.
Okay, and so today you went on 1,000, which is quite a bit smaller, yet it wasn't that windy. It was gusty, but nothing over 20 miles per hour. How did it feel?
Yeah, so I went out on the 5 and it felt good. I was able to like pump and get up right away, and it did feel a little maybe like easier to turn almost. Like I didn't have to put as much pressure into turn on my feet, but it felt great. I got up really easy and I was cruising.
And Matt went out with the autopilot 40 liters and you are just starting with the sinker bond, like your first day was pretty much yesterday.
Yeah, it was the second day.
And not only you were on a sinker bond 40 liters autopilot, but you also had a foil that in the end you didn't really know that's the one you had, which was the 650 high aspect. So tell me, what do you usually ride and how did it feel?
Okay, so normally I'm on a 69 liter board, and it's with a 2100 square centimeter foil. So that's a big foil.
That's about like a third, like the 650 is about a third of what you usually ride.
Yeah, it's almost a fourth, if anything.
Yeah.
And so I actually thought whenever I grabbed this board that I was on an 800. And so I went out today, and it was a little light, a little gusty, and I started going, and I got the board up out of the water, which I was excited about that. And then I started trying to pump. I was like, man, for an 800, you know, I thought there'd be more. And then whenever I got done, which I had a great session, honestly, I came in and I put the board down. I looked at the foil. I said, oh my gosh, I'm on a 650. I was like, this thing's the size of my stabilizer that I normally use.
Why do you think people are like riding smaller size foils when it comes to high aspect foils?
Yeah, well, it's really a simple misunderstanding in that people think that foils really should only be measured in the square centimeter area. Typically, 1,000, this is a 1,200, this is 650, 650 square centimeters. And so the problem is that depending on the aspect ratio, depending on the camber of the wing, depending on the thickness, you're gonna change lift characteristics, the amount of lift, just like you get when you go to a bigger wing.
So basically, like when we learn, we all say like, okay, you're gonna go to probably like a 2,000 square centimeter, and that would be a good place to start.
Yep.
But actually, it's not all about the size, and there's a lot more things that get into like what size you're gonna ride.
Absolutely. I think for a little while when most of the foils had a similar aspect ratio, that was fine, that worked. But now that we're going higher aspect, people have to kind of understand exactly what they're getting. A 1,200 of this wing, based on this aspect ratio, probably lifts the same as a 1,500 to 1,700 of a more medium aspect wing. So you've got to really be careful before you buy one to make sure you're getting the amount of lift based on the size you're getting.
And that's why today was perfect, because you go to a demo and you get to try the gear. And this is the perfect example, because we had so many people trying a foil that was way smaller than what they usually ride, and they were like, wow, I can ride it and I have as much lift. So getting into like the foils, the high aspect foils that we have with Cabrina, 1,200, 1,000, 800, 650, for you, like, what do you think, like each of this size, what is it good who is it good for, or in what kind of condition is it good for what sport is it good for?
Yeah, definitely. I think, one way you could think about a foil, right, just to get an idea, when you're talking about a higher aspect foil, if you're familiar with kiteboarding, it's pretty equivalent if you remove 2 decimal points. So 1,000 centimeter wing is kind of equivalent to like a 10 to maybe 12 meter kite. For a guy my weight equivalent, right? So I'm 180 pounds or 80 kilograms. And for me, a 10 to 12 meter kite is good for most conditions, an average day. And really that's what the 1,000 is for me. This actually here is a 1,200. This will be really great for a guy who typically would fly a 12 to 14 meter kite in your average condition. So from 12 knots to 18 knots, or on an average day, meaning small to medium waves, or again in wind conditions, an average day of like 12 to 18 knots.
So today we had people on the 650.
Yep.
I mean, and it was not that windy. It was not like a storm. Yet somebody is riding the 650.
Yep.
And this is pretty incredible, and that shows like how much lift you can get. Not because of the square centimeters that we talked about, but just because of the shape, how it's designed.
Yeah, these are really high lift wings, really high performance wings, and I think you hit the nail on the head. The most important takeaway is to go to a demo. Try the equipment before you can buy it. Try to remove the preconceived notions of, hey, I need a wing over a 2,000. I think that's the biggest mistake I hear from beginners is, hey, I heard I need an over 2,000 wing to learn. Well, I know wings are in the 1,500 range that are much more lift than a 2,000 plus wing. So definitely ask your local dealer, ask an expert, send a message in, or best yet, go and try it for yourself and see for yourself. Make sure it works for your local conditions at your local spot.
Yeah, and even if you go to your local dealer, you might be able to give it a try. There might be a demo set at the shop that you can take out. So this is what we recommend, and that's it.
Yeah.